Now that we're a quarter of the way through the season, I wanted to talk about some players that have improved this year and are playing the best ball of their careers. So here are 5 breakout players of the 2025 season so far. The first player that I wanted to mention is Ryan Rollins of the Bucks. Rollins has had maybe the most surprising leap in the NBA this year. Last season he looked like he could turn into a good role player, but he's blown everyone's expectations out of the water with his play this year. With the Bucks choosing to move on from the injured Damian Lillard in the offseason, someone on the Bucks needed to step up and become the Bucks' leading ball handler, and Rollins has done just that. Rollins has increased his points per game by 11 and is averaging 4 more assists per game this season. His speed and length allows him to get to the rim at a very high rate, as he's taking 34% of his shots at the rim, which is in the 90th percentile for point guards. He uses that downhill scoring threat to his advantage, as it forces defenders to give him space on the perimeter, which gives him space to pull up off of screens. He also has shown that he has a nice step back that creates a lot of separation, which allows him to get his shot off. He has been a good three-point shooter in his career so far with limited opportunities, but this year he's kept that same efficiency with a huge jump in his attempts per game, which is really impressive. He's also shown some solid passing chops this year as well, averaging nearly 6 assists per game. The ability to do this on offense while also being capable of playing really good defense has completely changed the perception of what Rollins' potential could be. Just a year ago he was averaging less than 15 minutes per game, but now he looks like he could be a future all-star. The next player that I wanted to talk about is OKC's Ajay Mitchell. Much like Ryan Rollins, AJ looked like a solid role player last year, but just didn't get much run because of how stacked the Thunder were, and an unfortunate ankle injury that kept him off the court for several months. With the absence of Jalen Williams for the first quarter of the season, the Thunder, much like the Bucks, needed someone to step up to the plate as a secondary creator, and AJ Mitchell has answered the call. Mitchell has been perhaps the biggest story of the season so far for a Thunder team that could wind up breaking the single season's win record because of just how reliable he's been to start the season, as he's upped his scoring average by 8 points per game and has doubled his assists per game. He's done well playing alongside SGA, but he's really shown running the offense when SGA has been on the bench. He's been able to keep the Thunder's offense running smoothly despite having a superstar on the bench, since he's able to replicate some of SGA's impact offensively. Mitchell is averaging nearly 15 points per game on solid efficiency because he's a really good driver, as he gets into the paint a lot and draws a lot of fouls. And much like Shea, AJ loves a good mid-range shot, as he's taking 32% of his shots from 4 to 14 feet from the rim, converting at a very respectable 50%. He's not an otherworldly passer by any means, but he can operate a pick and roll pretty well, which allows him to average about 4 assists per game, which has helped the Thunder's offense to maintain itself with SGA off the floor. He's been so reliable that the Thunder's net rating with lineups with Mitchell on the floor and no SGA is actually higher than the net ratings of lineups with SGA on the floor without Mitchell. Without the breakout of AJ Mitchell, the Thunder most likely have multiple more losses on their record and wouldn't be on track to break the single season wins record like they are at the moment. The third player that I think needs to be appreciated is Davion Mitchell of the Heat. When Davion Mitchell was traded to the Heat before the deadline last season, I just laughed because I should have seen it coming. Davion is one of the most Heat players I've ever seen in my life. He's a dog that never is going to back down from a challenge, and he's been tasked with one to start the year, as he's been asked to guard the opposing team's best perimeter player often and also set up the Heat offense. He has excelled on defense as he has throughout his career, but his play as the starting point guard on offense has been really encouraging. Davion is averaging the most minutes per game of his career and is averaging 3 more assists per game than last season, and is by far the most of his career. Even though the Heat run a unique, egalitarian offense with comparatively few ball screens, Mitchell has been able to make a lot of plays on the offensive end of the floor still, as he's averaging nearly 8 assists per game with an elite assist-to-turnover ratio of over 5-1. The fact that he's been able to put up these numbers with such low usage is truly astounding, as he's been very impactful despite having the ball in his hands far less than most point guards, which has him in the 98th percentile in the entire league in assist-to-usage ratio. He fits very well into Miami's fast-paced offense, as he's always trying to make a hit-ahead pass, and his athleticism lends itself well to their fast pace. His passing has been great so far this year, but he's also shown a big improvement as a shooter compared to the rest of his career. Prior to his move to the Heat, he has always been a below-average to middling three-point shooter, but he's been great this season from long distance, shooting a career-high 40% from deep on a career-high 5 attempts per game. While he may not have the huge increase in stats that the other players on this list possess, he's played a huge role in the Heat's surprising success this season and is playing by far the most impactful basketball of his career. The next guy that I wanted to highlight is Kyshawn George of the Wizards. While the Wizards' rebuild may not have the brightest outlook at the moment, the Wizards have found themselves a stud with Kyshawn George. Given that he was drafted 24th last year, teams must not have thought that he had a ton of potential, but he's shown a lot of it this season. Last season, he showed that he was capable of really good defense and that he could do a bit of everything on the offensive side of the ball, but this year he's taken a significant jump on the offensive end. Kyshawn has been asked to have the ball in his hands a lot more this year, and he's looked pretty good handling the increased share of the offense. Kyshawn is averaging nearly 7 more points per game this year and is averaging nearly twice as many assists per game as last year as a result. He's a much better ball handler than your average wing, which allows him to create a shot easier than most players his size. He's made it a point this year to use his handle and athleticism to get closer to the basket for his shots, which has been fruitful as he's getting to the rim at a higher rate and converting his shots there at a higher rate as well. He's also taken a leap from behind the arc as he's shooting a ridiculous 45% from deep on nearly 6 attempts per game and is shooting a solid 36% on pull-up threes, which is comparable to stars like Anthony Edwards, Davion Mitchell, and Cade Cunningham. While his scoring jump has been nice, he's also shown that he can be a quality playmaker in the future as well. He's averaging nearly 5 assists per game this year and has shown that he can make a variety of passes. He can operate as the ball handler in the pick and roll and make pocket and lob passes, and is particularly good at collapsing the defense on drives and kicking it out to open shooters. Along with his on-ball passing, he's also a good connective passer as well, finding open shooters often. While his assist-to-turnover ratio is a little rough at the moment, I expect for it to improve as he gets more opportunities initiating the offense and gets more experience seeing different kinds of coverages. These opportunities and improvements on the offensive end of the ball, combined with his already really good defensive chops, make me think that he could wind up being a star player in the future. Lastly, I think Keyonte George of the Jazz deserves some flowers. Through the first 2 seasons of his career, Keyonte showed a lot of flashes but was very inconsistent and inefficient as he shot just 39% over those 2 seasons. But this year it looks like Keyonte is starting to put it together more as he's averaging 5.5 more points per game, 1 more assist per game, and is much more efficient than ever before. George has been much more intent on getting up shots closer to the rim compared to his previous 2 seasons, and it's paying off so far. Keyonte has replaced his inefficient 3-point shots with more mid-range shots this year, which has been much more productive for him. He's been one of the better mid-range shooters among all guards this year at 46%, which has been helped a lot by his nice touch on floaters. He's also steadily increased his assist numbers every year of his career and is up to nearly 7 assists per game this season. He's doing it without having the ball in his hands a ton as well, as he's in the 78th percentile of assist-to-usage ratio. He's not piling up the turnovers either, as he has a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio, with room left to improve still. Something that stands out in particular to me is his comfortability making passes with his left hand, which increases the amount of angles he can find teammates from. Perhaps the biggest difference in his game this year, however, has been his increased ability to get to the free throw line. Keyonte is averaging more than 7 free throw attempts per game this year, which is twice as many as he was taking per game over the first 2 years of his career. In addition to his increased free throw rate, Keyonte is also shooting above 90% from the line this year, more than an 8% jump from last season. Before this season, I'd kind of slated Keyonte as someone whose best role for a good team would be as a 6-man, similar to how Anthony Simons is used on the Celtics, but now I think he could have star upside as well.